Taking on challenges, change, and video games are the main topics of today's thought process, to a point. Inspired by my teenage daughter. She is my hero and role model. And I told her I want to grow up to be like her someday. She's so strong. She's gone through more physical, like, scary-ish, like, health-wise and stuff than most people I know, than I ever have experienced. And she still is here every single day and is laughing pretty much every single day and is a joy to have around every single day. So, that is the sun in this crazy space that we have found ourselves in for the last little while of life. However, we just got informed of some other news that isn't the happiest, but it's not the worst either. But for a teenager, let alone a teenage girl, it is something that is slightly life-altering because it is a very big change. It's a physical appearance type change. So we go and we find out about what's going on, and we find out what the next step might possibly be. And it is a space that she feels very uncomfortable in, scared. There's lots angry. There's lots of emotions there. And granted, totally understandable. If I were in her shoes, I would feel the exact same way too. Probably not even hold myself as well as she does, because that's one of the things I give her props for, is how well she can hold herself through difficult spaces. It just enamors me some days. I'm like, how does that not cause you pain to the point where you're vocally expressing it? And she won't. It's weird to me, but that is why I feel she's such a strong human. Anyway, we were talking about this new change, and that was where a lot of her stress and anxiety was coming out of, because she said, I just finally started to accept these certain spaces of myself that took so long to get to, and now I have to, another hoop to jump, another thing to learn, she's exhausted with it, and I totally understand that. But it seemed and I get it, because I had the same kind of thought as a kid too, or as a teenager, about every time I accomplish something or get us something or establishes something, it changes really fast. There's change that we're not prepared for or wanting, and it just happens or occurs. And it's hard to accept those spaces. So she asked me how I was able to accept change. We're going to move forward to a space that she and I share. Hair. She likes to play with her hair, and some days she likes it and some days she doesn't. And like most people or girls, there are days where you like them, days where you don't. But she's been in a moment with her hair where she's not been a big fan, and I brought forward to her today about my thoughts on my hair and not being a big fan of it most of my life. But in 2020, I burnt a lot of it off mistakenly, and knowing that because of my age and whatnot, it'll come back, but it won't be the same, right? This is a space of change that I will have to deal with for quite some time. And she'd asked me how I dealt with that. And I said, well, it took 3 years of avoidance, I guess, in different ways of covering it up with different things, or just accepting it as it was to a point until it got too ratchet, and then, blah, blah, blah. But there was a point where I fully on shaved my head, and that was something that I never did in my life, never thought I'd do in my life, because I've always had long hair and liked long hair. And so I shaved my head. And from that moment on, from that style on, I was actually in that accepting space of where I was. And as the hair grew back in, and it grew back in softer and curlier and It might not have the length that it once did, but it's still beautiful and it's still there, and I'm very grateful for that fact. Like, that's what I was trying to tell her. It was like, although the change was there and occurring and I couldn't not change it, I had to learn how to roll with it and find things that I did like about it. And when I focused more on that and had some acceptance in some places, even though I'm still open that it could still happen, like, you never know, 5 years down the road, my hair could grow long again. Maybe I'll be in a place. But as it sits right now, this is just where we're working with it. So we find ways to work with it. And I think she got that. She seemed to like that aspect. It seemed to help calm things down a little bit. And then I showed her on our Google Drive how different we look day to day, week to week, month to month, year to year, because I found a file of like moments of her, photos of her, and all the different hair, like just within this last year, all the different hairstyles, hair colors, different looks that this girl has gone through. I said, you have been a different person and have been changing this whole entire time innately, without you knowing. Well, you do know, but I don't think you get how much you change and how much you have changed. And then we talked about, nurturing things through, instead of being angry that they're not going the way that you want them to go, or growing the way that you want them to grow, or fast enough. And then I kind of likened it to like raising a baby, raising a child. Like, if a toddler is learning how to walk and a parent is not happy with that process or whatever, are they gonna, like, what, are they gonna kick the baby or whatever, like, because the baby's not walking fast enough, or yell at the baby because they're like, no, that's not how you nurture. So that was another aspect that we stepped upon. And then we went back to the space of uncomfortability that we were in with the news that we got today. And she got to understand that she gets to make all the calls and all the moves, and nothing gets done or is a thing until she says that it's a thing. So I think that gave a little bit more safety. But yeah, then she was like, why would I ask for this? And she kind of always comes back to things that I teach and / preach at home about the universe and and she's like, why would I choose this? This is not something that I would choose, blah blah blah. Then I had to like remind her of how Sims works. And I'm like, I think that's how this kind of works, is that we make these like plans and contracts and then come here to work them out. So it's kind of like you deciding how you want your sim to be and live and look. Doesn't mean that that's what your sim wants, but that's what you're like programming in. And I'm sure there's aspects of what you program in for your sim that your sim would probably like or get to like. So I think that was pretty fun space to be. But regardless, I just wanted to get my thoughts out about all of that, because change can be hard. Oh, that's another piece. Yeah. Like, just really reinforcing to her that we don't have to make a move. Nothing has to get done until you are comfortable with that. Like, and then that sparked a thought about acceptance and change. Like, we will only accept the change when we accept that change within ourselves first. So yeah, that is really interesting. Thoughts for a Wednesday. Have a great day.